Alright, so we've done some work already on our Illustrator project. Might be a good time to go ahead and save the work we've done. So to do that, we come up here to File, Save As. I'm going to choose to save this to the desktop. And I had already given it a name, but let's go ahead and follow our convention. And we'll do MGD 102 underscore, and snowman's good, and then underscore again the date. This was done in September of 2016. Underscore again, and then your name. We put that on our desktop, and notice that it puts in the .ai for you, and the format is Adobe Illustrator. There are other formats we can work in. We're going to stick to just the .ai. When you take a subsequent Illustrator class, you'll learn how to do these other formats, .eps being a popular one. Sometimes you see people using SVG. We can use that in web files, but you don't see it a lot. So we're going to keep this simple and just stick to .ai. And we'll use all of the defaults there. Alright, so in the last video we had created quite a few different shapes using the various shape tools. All of them just had fill colors with no strokes. We're going to be doing strokes in a little bit, but let's go ahead and look at the line tool next. And that is right here. It's called the line segment tool. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch. I'm going to swap the fill and stroke. There's a little swap arrow, and that gives 0 or no fill, and then now the stroke color is yellow. And I'll click on the stroke color so I can change it. I'm going to change that color to black. And now we can draw a line. So I'm going to draw a line from just inside the circle and bring it out to right about there is good. Now notice all it does is it's got these little anchor points, and you'll notice that these vector formats have a lot of these anchor points, but here in this particular case we've got 2 at the very end. If I grab this little circle, it just keeps everything in a line, so that doesn't really change anything. But I can grab one of these ends to change the length of the line segment. So let's go ahead and do that. Now up here in the properties I can change the width of that stroke. So right now it's set to 1. I'll go ahead and see what some different strokes look like. 5 looks good. And then what's interesting is I can actually change some other profiles. Instead of it being an equal width, notice that I can have it change the thickness. So that's kind of cool, and I can make this bigger. If I want that to be even wider, I can do that. So that's the line segment tool. The other thing that I can do is there's the pen tool. So with the pen tool, I'll click that. I can make my own shapes. So I'm going to click the different corners that I want, and there's no real right way when you to do it, but when you get to the very end, you close it. Let me do that again. Notice how it's not closed, but when I bring my pen tool, I'll zoom in a little bit more. When I bring that last tool to the very first anchor point, I get a tiny little 0 next to my pen, and that lets me know I'm going to close a shape. So right now these are just a line segment that's turning with all sorts of points. By doing this, I complete a shape, and there's no more lines to draw. I can come back to my black selection tool, and now I have that whole asset selected. The outline is a black stroke, and I can flip that, so I swap the fill and stroke, and now it becomes a color. a fill color. Now I don't necessarily promote pipe smoking, but it seems like putting a pipe in your snowman's kind of a popular thing. So let's play around with that a little bit more. Here's my pen tool, and I'm going to, now in this case I have it selected as a fill, so that's probably going to look a little strange at first, but you can keep drawing and it's doing the fill as you go. And then I close it at the very end. And now I've got a hat. And I can move it if I need to adjust it ever so little bit. So maybe the colors are starting to get a little overdone here. So let's go ahead and change some of these colors. So this is actually a stroke, whereas the end of the pipe is a shape. So you got to kind of keep that in check. And you can change the colors, but sometimes you end up choosing the stroke. So in this case, if the stroke is up, then I change the stroke. So you got to make sure that whichever one you want to change, the fill color or the stroke, that's in the foreground here in this little swatch tool. So I can change this to a brown, and I can change this corn cob. Maybe I go with something kind of orangey. We'll go something kind of orangey. Now notice I've got a color. What if I want to use that color again? I'll come over here to my swatch tool, my swatch windows, again, window, swatches, if you're not seeing it. And I can add a swatch to my, they have some default ones here already. And there's this little tool here down at the bottom, looks like a page with a crop. And you just check new swatch. And it'll put that orange color in there for you. And now it's there next time I need it. So if I choose the pipe again, I can now choose the fill color, come back to my swatch, and to make sure I get the exact same color, I'll choose that same orange that I had custom created. By filling in swatches, that allows you to reuse colors. That makes it a lot easier sometimes to do your, what am I trying to say? To do your colors and keep them consistent. So now you got some more things that you want to play with. So let's go ahead, we'll go ahead and do my pen tool again. I'm going to switch this color to a really dark brown. And I'm just going to create some sticks. And I can move that and even twist it. Let me zoom in so you can see that. Zoom it, twist it, and I can create another one. Now these are all individual line segments. But let's say I want to keep them grouped together. So I'm going to click one, I'm going to shift hold the other, and I'm going to click shift hold the other. Now all three are selected, so I can change the attributes to all of them at the same time. The other thing I can do is choose object group. Now they stay together as one object. In fact, if I make a copy of it, the whole thing will copy. I can still change the bounding box and completely flip this over to the other side. Now in this case, what happens if I want to make the stick be behind the snowman? All I have to do is right click, and there's a range, send to back. There's also a palette tool for alignment, although that's probably going to be better for aligning things. Easiest way to send things to the back will be to um, hit Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Not sure if there's a window for Arrange. I don't think so. And maybe there is, and I just don't know it right now. But easiest thing I find is just to right click on your mouse and do Arrange, Send to Back, and then that puts it behind all your other ones. Alright, it's not too bad of a snowman. And we've done some very simple shapes, and we used the line segment tool. We've created a custom shape. We've also learned how to differentiate between fill colors and stroke colors. And that's what we got for this video. In the next video, I'm going to introduce a gradient.